The very concept of a gallery is built on solid ground. It's about walls, floors, and the carefully controlled light that falls upon a canvas. It's about the quiet hum of a climate control system, the echo of footsteps on polished concrete, and the shared physical space where art and audience meet. For centuries, this was the immutable truth of the art world. Then, almost overnight, the doors closed. The walls became barriers, and the physical presence that defined the art experience became a liability. The art world, an industry steeped in tradition and often resistant to rapid change, was faced with an existential crisis. How does art exist without the gallery? The answer came not as a whisper, but as a digital roar. This wasn't just about weathering a storm, it was about navigating a fundamental, seismic shift in how we create, share, and consume culture. The pivot to virtual displays, born from stark necessity, inadvertently kicked open the doors to a new frontier, revealing possibilities that had been lurking in the digital shadows for years. The initial scramble was, to put it mildly, a mixed bag. Galleries and museums rushed to establish a digital pulse. The first wave of solutions felt like digital life support. We saw a flood of what were essentially glorified slideshows, online viewing rooms that presented a grid of high-resolution JPEGs. Curated selections appeared as downloadable PDF catalogs, beautifully designed but ultimately flat and lifeless. Some institutions offered pre-recorded video walkthroughs, with a curator guiding an invisible camera through an empty, silent gallery. While these efforts were commendable and provided a crucial lifeline, they highlighted a fundamental misunderstanding of the digital medium. They were attempts to replicate the physical gallery online, but in doing so, they lost the very essence of what they were trying to capture. They lacked presence. The awe-inspiring scale of a massive installation was reduced to the size of a browser window. The intricate texture of impasto oil paint was flattened into a uniform glow of pixels. The communal experience of seeing art with others was replaced by a solitary, isolated act of scrolling. This initial phase exposed the deep-seated cultural and philosophical hurdles the art world had to overcome. There's a concept in art theory, Walter Benjamin's aura, which refers to the unique presence of an artwork in time and space, its history, its physical uniqueness. For many traditionalists, a digital reproduction could never possess this aura. It was a copy, a ghost, lacking the soul of the original. This skepticism was deeply ingrained. Art was meant to be experienced, not just viewed. It was a pilgrimage to a specific place to see a specific object. How could a URL possibly replace that sacred journey? The challenge, then, was not just technological. It was about convincing an entire ecosystem of artists, curators, collectors, and art lovers that the digital realm could be more than just a pale imitation. It had to become a destination in its own right, a new kind of space with its own unique properties and advantages. The goal had to shift from replication to reimagination. Fortunately, the seeds of this transformation had already been planted by a few forward-thinking pioneers. Long before it was a necessity, galleries like David Zwirner were experimenting with sophisticated online viewing rooms, treating them as serious curatorial projects rather than just a marketing afterthought. Platforms like Vortic and Artland were already building immersive 3D gallery models, understanding that spatial context was key to a meaningful digital experience. These early adopters had done the crucial groundwork, proving that a market and an audience for digital art engagement existed. They were building on a foundation of technology that had been steadily maturing behind the scenes. The proliferation of high-speed internet, the development of powerful graphics processors in consumer devices, and the availability of high-fidelity digital capture technologies were all critical enablers. Photographers were creating gigapixel images of paintings, revealing details invisible to the naked eye. Companies like Matterport, originally focused on real estate, provided the tools to create walkable 3D virtual tours of physical spaces with surprising ease and fidelity. What began as a desperate measure soon revealed a stunning array of unforeseen benefits. The most profound of these was a radical democratization of access. Suddenly, a blockbuster exhibition in New York, Paris, or London was no longer the exclusive domain of those who could afford the travel and the ticket. A student in rural India, an art enthusiast in a small town in Brazil, or a person with mobility issues could now walk the halls of the Louvre or the MoMA from their laptop. Geographical, economic, and physical barriers that had defined the art world for centuries began to dissolve. This explosion of accessibility had a ripple effect, creating a more global, more inclusive conversation around art. Galleries reported unprecedented numbers of online visitors, reaching audiences orders of magnitude larger than their physical footfall could ever allow. This wasn't just a temporary fix, it was the dawn of a new, more connected era for art. The initial clunky attempts had given way to a powerful proof of concept. But to truly create immersive, compelling experiences that could stand on their own, the art world would need to embrace a far more sophisticated and powerful set of tools. The question was no longer galleries could exist online, but how technologically ambitious and experientially rich they could become. Moving beyond the flat 2D web pages that characterized the initial pivot, the modern virtual exhibition is a technological marvel. It's an intricate fusion of digital artistry and raw processing power, designed not just to show you art, but to transport you into a new kind of space. The magic behind these truly immersive experiences isn't a single piece of software, but a sophisticated stack of technologies working in concert. From capturing the physical world with uncanny accuracy to building entirely new ones from scratch. The journey begins with the fundamental challenge: how do you translate a three-dimensional object with all its texture, detail, and physical presence into the digital realm? The answer lies in techniques that create a digital twin of the artwork. One of the most powerful of these is photogrammetry. Imagine taking hundreds, sometimes thousands, of high-resolution photographs of a sculpture from every conceivable angle. Specialized software then analyzes these images, identifying common points and triangulating them in 3D space to construct a breathtakingly detailed and texturally accurate 3D model. This allows you to digitally zoom in on the chisel marks of a marble statue or the unique patina on a bronze casting, details that a simple photograph could never capture. For entire rooms or buildings, creators turn to laser scanning and LiDAR, the same technology used in self-driving cars, which bounces light off surfaces to measure distance and create a geometrically perfect point cloud map of a space. Once the art and the environment are digitized, the next step is to build the virtual gallery itself. This is where the art world has borrowed heavily from an unlikely source, the video game industry. The stunningly realistic worlds you see in modern video games are built using powerful software suites called game engines, and these are the engines now powering the next generation of art exhibitions. The two titans in this space are Unreal Engine 5 and Unity. These platforms are not just for creating levels and characters, they are sophisticated reality simulators. They allow curators and digital artists to control every aspect of the virtual environment with incredible precision. They can implement physically accurate lighting that mimics how sunlight would filter through a gallery window and reflect off a polished floor. They can design complex soundscapes, from the subtle ambient room tone to audio guides that trigger as you approach a specific piece. This technology allows for the creation of not just replicas of existing galleries, but entirely new, fantastical spaces that could never exist in reality. Imagine an exhibition set within a swirling nebula, or a gallery whose walls melt away to reveal the landscape that inspired the paintings within. These game engines provide the canvas for this new form of curatorial architecture. Alongside these bespoke solutions, specialized platforms like Kunstmatrix and Artland have emerged, offering galleries a more turnkey solution to create and host their own 3D interactive exhibitions, complete with social features like multiplayer avatars, allowing visitors to explore the art together, recreating that lost sense of community. The experience doesn't have to be confined to a computer screen. This is where augmented and virtual reality come in, pushing the boundaries of immersion even further. Augmented reality, or AR, is all about overlaying digital information onto the real world, typically through your smartphone. For the art world, its killer application is context. Imagine you're browsing an online gallery and you see a painting you love. but it's hard to judge its scale or how it would look in your home. Using AR, the Galleries app can access your phone's camera, and with a single tap, you can project a life-sized painting onto your own wall. You can walk around it, see how it fits with your furniture, and get a true sense of its presence. It bridges the gap between the digital and the domestic, making art collecting more accessible and less intimidating. Google's Arts and Culture app is a fantastic example, allowing you to view masterpieces from around the world in your own room. But for the ultimate level of immersion, there is virtual reality. VR is not about bringing the art to your world, it's about taking you to the art's world. When you put on a headset like the Meta Quest or Valve Index, the real world disappears. You are physically present within the digital space. The sense of scale is absolute. A towering sculpture is genuinely towering. You can lean in to examine the finest details of a digital artwork, or walk around it, viewing it from angles you never could in a roped-off museum. This technology enables entirely new kinds of experiences, like the Kremer Museum, a VR-only institution that houses a collection of Dutch and Flemish old masters. It features a stunningly designed gallery space that you can explore freely, getting closer to these priceless works than would ever be possible in real life. VR allows for a focused, distraction-free communion with the art. These technologies are a quantum leap beyond simple JPEGs on a web page. They are creating rich, spatial, and interactive experiences that are becoming a valid art form in their own right, fundamentally reshaping not just how we see art, but what the art we see can be. The widespread adoption of these powerful virtual tools is triggering a cascade of changes that extend far beyond mere technological novelty. This is a genuine paradigm shift, one that is fundamentally redefining the roles of artists, curators, and institutions, and challenging the very definition of an art exhibition. The most immediate and perhaps most important implication is the profound and continued democratization of the art world. For centuries, the epicenters of art have been concentrated in a handful of major global cities. An artist's success was often contingent on their ability to be physically present in these hubs, to network, and to secure a coveted spot in a brick-and-mortar gallery. Virtual exhibitions dismantle these geographical limitations. An incredibly talented digital artist working from a remote village can now create a stunning virtual solo show and share it with a global audience instantaneously, without needing the validation or the logistical support of a traditional gallery. This levels the playing field, creating a more meritocratic system where the power of the work can speak for itself, unconstrained by postcodes or politics. For the audience, this means an explosion of diversity, exposure to new voices and perspectives that were previously marginalized by the old gatekeeping structures. This new digital landscape also offers unprecedented freedom to the curator. No longer bound by the physical constraints of a white cube, the limitations of wall space, ceiling height, gravity, or even budget, a curator can now become a true world builder. The curatorial practice is evolving from arranging objects in a room to designing entire experiences. Imagine a retrospective of Monet, where as you gaze at his water lilies, the gallery walls dissolve to transport you to a virtual recreation of his gardens at Giverny. Or consider exhibitions in impossible, dreamlike spaces, where the architecture itself reflects the emotional tone of the artwork. Curators can seamlessly embed rich contextual media directly into the exhibition. You could touch a virtual sculpture and hear the artist's voice explaining their process, or watch a video of its creation. The exhibition becomes a multi-layered, narrative-driven journey, offering a depth of understanding that is often difficult to achieve with a small text plaque on a physical wall. Of course, this digital transformation brings with it a host of complex philosophical questions, particularly concerning authenticity and ownership. In a world of infinite, perfect digital copies, what constitutes the original artwork? This is where technologies like NFTs or non-fungible tokens have entered the conversation. While often associated with market speculation, the underlying technology offers a compelling solution to the problem of digital provenance. An NFT acts as a unique, unforgeable digital certificate of authenticity and ownership, recorded on a secure public ledger called a blockchain. This allows a digital file, be it an image, a video, or a 3D model of a virtual sculpture, to be owned as a unique asset, just like a physical painting. It provides a mechanism for scarcity and value in an inherently replicable medium, giving digital artists a robust way to sell and track their work that was previously impossible. This technological solution is helping to build a legitimate and sustainable market for art that is born digital. So, what does this all mean for the fate of the physical gallery? Is it destined for obsolescence? The answer is almost certainly no. Rather than an outright replacement, we are witnessing an evolution towards a more integrated and dynamic future. The future is a hybrid model where the physical and virtual exhibitions complement each other. The virtual exhibition can serve as a global preview, an accessible archive after the physical show has closed, or an expanded version with additional content. The physical gallery, in turn, will likely double down on what it does best, providing unique, tactile, high-impact experiences that cannot be replicated through a screen. It will become a space for community, for irreplaceable I-was-there moments, and for art that demands a physical presence. This technological wave is also giving birth to entirely new genres of art. We are seeing the rise of generative artists whose work is created by complex algorithms, interactive art that changes based on real-time audience data, and VR sculptors who paint with light and form in three-dimensional space. The technology is not just a new way to display old art, it is a new medium in itself, a new set of tools for a new generation of creators. The gallery is no longer just a place you go to. It is becoming a space you can enter, a world you can inhabit from any corner of the globe. The four walls have fallen, and in their place is an infinite, ever-expanding canvas of possibility.